This is the Marketing Umbrella Podcast, where it's all about getting the information you need from successful leading marketers to build and grow your digital marketing agency. Brought to you by Itamar Shafir, founder and CEO of Umbrella, the technology platform and brand that is powering thousands of marketing agencies around the country. Find him at umbrellaus.com. Now, here's your host, Kevin Pruitt.
This is the Marketing Umbrella Podcast. My name is Kevin Pruitt, and my guest today has been an account executive for 7 years, primarily selling to medium and large enterprises while selling in whatever spare time he actually created. He couldn't help but challenge himself to do more, so he built some side gigs. He ended up building 4 of them, and we're using the term side gig very loosely here in those past 7 years. He built SoftLeap, a prospecting services company, Vocal, a consumer marketplace, a Referral, a B2B SaaS company, and right now both Vocal and Referral have been acquired, and he is currently building Dimmo, a B2B marketplace. So far, he's built an audience of over 30,000 LinkedIn followers and has generated well over 10 million impressions. Please join me in welcoming Troy Munson to the Marketing Umbrella Podcast. Troy, thanks again for joining us.
Kevin, thanks so much. That was the first time somebody has kind of read what I've done, and I was like, wow, that makes me sound more impressive than what I really am, but I appreciate you having me.
Well, we take like the bullet points and we try to give it some meat, we try to give it some narration around that to kind of build our story. But man, that's a short intro for probably a long story. So now what's some other things that you could round us out a little bit with to kind of give our audience a little better picture of Troy?
Yeah, a little bit better picture of me. I'm almost I was on a podcast yesterday actually, and I said that I'm like this impulsive business starter. Like I have so many ideas and I want to start them all, but I obviously don't have enough time in my life to do so. But yeah, a bit about me. I'm from Texas, but I have spent all of my career in software sales and just obsessed with software. And then throughout those times, I think that my big issue is I get a little bored at the company that I work at. Like it's great, it pays the bills and I do decent at them, but I'm like, there's got to be more that I can do. So that's why I ended up building those side gigs, SoftLeap, Vocal, Referral, and now Dimmo. Dimmo is the first one that I've taken full time, I think, because the other ones were more like a feature that I was selling and that
Almost
I
like
built.
A product, yeah.
Yeah. It was a product, but it was I would look at the market and I would say, is this a big enough market for me to go full time? And the other ones weren't. And I said, that's Vocal really it just failed, but luckily we found an acquirer that it failed because of me, but luckily we were able to find an acquirer, and that was awesome because that saved us from like losing any money, which is great. So all that to say is, yeah, I like to do things on the side. I like to find and help people do things on the side as well. Help a few other companies go from like idea to first customer, which is great. And just kind of love that zero, or actually that -1 to 0 to 1 aspect of building a company.
I've never heard anybody describe it that way. It is like -1 to 1, instead of 0 to 1. But it sounds like to me you're plagued with the kind of that E disease that a lot of us have, that serial entrepreneurial disease. So, where the idea gear is spinning all the time, and what's that old expression says? If you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail. So, you certainly, hey, James Altucher says, hey, you should just generate 10 creative new business ideas a day, just for kicks. And it sounds like to me that you have no problem with, following that sage advice.
That's spot on. I actually have a list of notes in my phone. And then I had this idea with those list of notes, or a list of business ideas, sorry, in my notes application in my phone. Of
course you do.
Oh, yeah, of course, right? I write them down all the time just in case, things I'll never get to in my life. And so I was actually like, I wonder if there's a way to create another business where I sell these ideas and I only have like a 5% equity, but then I set it up for everybody. Like, hey, here's how I think that you should build it to get your first 10 customers. You just give me 5%. You go build it, and then that's it. Like, I don't touch it anymore. I'll help you out, right? I'll help advise, because there are ideas that are sitting in my notes and they won't go anywhere. I'm too busy right now. So yeah. That turned into an idea.
So somehow you're gonna have to clone and may use AI to have like Troy 2.0 and 3.0 and
Yeah.
whatever versions of stuff you can create. But I'm really interested. I mean, there are so many times that we've interviewed people that are kind of that serial entrepreneur, type personality, but they often the things they create are born out of their own itches that they're trying to scratch. Was this something that, the idea behind this, was this generated by a need that you had maybe in your day gig?
Yeah, yeah. So I'll do a brief overview on the last three. Vocal, yes. I was trying to scratch my own itch. I wanted to flip houses. I looked at this real estate course and it was like $6,000. And my idea was, why can't I just talk to this person for 10 minutes, let this person know how much money I had currently, where I'm at in my life? Like, I have a kid on the way. Like, why can't I just tell this person my financial situation and my life situation in 10 minutes? I'll pay him for that 10 minutes of time and then he tells me what I should do. And so that's how Vocal started. It was essentially, I related to like the business professional OnlyFans is what I say. And so that's what Vocal was. So yes, tried to scratch my own itch. Referral. I worked at a company where we had an amazing referral program where everybody got $20,000 if they gave us a referral and that deal closed. And I was like, geez, if there was three closed deals in 12 months, somebody can make $60,000. That's another
Hmm.
salary, right? And
Yeah.
so but we weren't getting any referrals, and I saw a lot of problems behind it. People weren't reaching out. We couldn't track it. There was many different things going on in
Hmm.
the business that led to us not getting referrals. So I was like, I bet this can be automated. Did that, scaled it to about 15 to 20 annual customers, and then I was like, all right, I think it's time to sell it because I don't know how many times you can reach out to the same person asking for a
Mm.
referral, right?
Yeah.
And so I thought there was you would dilute your chances there. So there's that, and then demo wasn't really a scratch my own itch, and that's what I'm doing now full time. I'll do it for the foreseeable future. It wasn't a scratch my own itch. It was a more so, can I pay off my mortgage without my W-2? So we
Mm.
started off just doing demo days every month. I'd host a demo day where you can see five different technologies and you don't have to deal with their sales team. And I would drive the registrants because at this point, was starting to build my LinkedIn audience and stuff. And we were driving enough revenue on month one to pay my own mortgage. Ended up never taking a penny from it. But all that to say, I was like, let me just make some good money every
Sure.
month for a very low lift. And it worked. And I was like, oh, screw it. I'm going to do this every month. And one thing led to another. And here I am full time. And we're way more than just a demo day service now.
So demo, describe this. Is this like, I mean, I think I actually heard you refer to it as like OnlyFans for SaaS or something like that. So what's is there it's like people would say, oh, it's the Uber of, and then
Yeah,
fill
yeah,
in the
yeah.
blank. So how would you describe demo?
Yeah, yeah. So Vocal is like the OnlyFans for business professionals. But Demo, I would say, if you want me to describe it like that, the blank of blank, I would say it's the YouTube for B2B is how I'd describe it, right? So you have a lot of B2B companies on it, business to business companies, all software. And then you have people that want to see their demo, but they don't want to get forced through a sales cycle. So they
Yeah.
can go and watch their demos without being forced through a sales cycle. So right now, I'd say it's the YouTube of B2B, and that will quickly be evolving into a lot more than that. And I'm excited for it. Really soon, within the next couple of weeks, it's going to evolve into much more of how can you evaluate software completely without needing to go through a sales cycle.
So what was I mean, is that the main reason for the creation of demo, was the fact that there was just this pain point that people did not want to sit through the sales process, or the sales, of the actual demonstration of the product itself, because there were so many, factors around it. They just want to see the product work. Is that really the basis of demo?
Kind of, yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that yes, and it boils down to just really, I think like two or three reasons. One, the market's headed in a direction where people are finding out as much information as they can about a technology before they
Hmm.
go and talk to them anyways. So like that's already happening. Um, Two, I think that companies spend way too much money on SDR teams and they
Hmm.
don't like I think it's like 20% of SDRs actually hit their quota. So it's like there's a lot of sunk cost there. So for the company side, it's like you can get people to learn about your tech without having to spend 120K each person,
Yeah.
that's one aspect. And then the three, I think it just comes down to where we're headed as humanity, right? Where it's, we have Gen Z stepping into the professional role
Mm-hmm.
and they're starting to evaluate software more, and everything is video focused. TikTok,
Mm-hmm.
Instagram, YouTube,
Yep.
like everything is becoming video focused. And so I was like, all right, we need to make video the way that people evaluate software versus like interactions. And I don't ever think I'll eliminate the human interaction of sales.
Mm-hmm.
I don't ever want to.
Yeah.
But I do think that like we're moving in this direction where I think millennials handle about 50% of all business decisions now is what I read,
Mm-hmm.
or at least Gartner said that. Who knows where they get that data? But then Gen Z stepping into the professional life as well. So it's like kind of cater to where the market's headed.
As you're describing that, I mean, the thing that came to my mind was almost like Kickstarter, the where, where you have to create that short form video that kind of introduces the idea and it gets people kind of on board and investing from an early
Yeah.
stage. But the idea that when you reach out to companies, to set up a demo, is there like a template that you suggested template says, hey, it's got to be 3 to 5 minutes. It's got to be, it needs to have this format. It needs to have, don't just send me your slide, your PowerPoint presentation. I mean, it has
Yeah.
to be a little more creative than that. And do you have creatives that are working with them on to create a good presentation?
Yeah, great question. I'm gonna answer the last one first. No, we don't have any creatives. We've been thinking about, are there some, good video producers in the space that aren't too expensive that can create like a very good demo? I don't want to, that becomes too much work, too much
Mm-hmm.
logistics for me. And then, yes, we do have best practices for sure. Like a 3 to 5 minute video, opening the video with what you're about to see is another thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like some people jump right into it and people are like, well, what am I looking at? I don't even know what I'm watching. So it's like, hey,
Yeah.
if you're a VP of RevOps, this is how you solve bad quality or bad data quality or whatever it might
Mm.
be. So there's that. And then, yeah, it's like it's a form that they fill out. And we're very lucky in the sense that we launched on May 15th, our actual marketplace. Demo was started before that, but our actual, what we are today. And we've had over 1,000 companies request to be on our site. So it's like we haven't
Wow.
really needed to reach out too much. I think now we're slowly dipping into that where it's like, okay, it's time to start prospecting into new companies. Um, and then what you mentioned, we have two companies on the site with 352, I think, today. We have two companies on the site that they have like marketing explainer videos where it's like a lot of
Mm-hmm.
animations. You don't really see the platform. And when we get those, I actually have watched every single demo that comes through.
Mm-hmm.
When we get those, I just reach out and say, hey, like, that's not the point of this platform. Like, you actually have to
Mm-hmm.
have we got to see your product. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, there's some requirements that we have. At first, it was like all of them at all costs. Now it's like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, let's make
Be a
this a
little
little
more
bit more.
selective.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because we can be now, which is great.
Right. I mean the basic premise is that I pay a certain fee a month to have my demo listed on the marketplace. And is there any like rev share like
Yeah.
from how it's the sales that are driven through these demonstrations and how you can track back through to your platform?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, so it's free forever for a company to be on our site. But if you want any data or analytics, like, hey, these companies might be in market for your tool, because
Hmm.
of course we're able to see like who's watching the demos and stuff like that, and we can understand like which companies they work at. They have to pay it. It's like your typical, if you're familiar with G2, it's like that same model, where people can just go evaluate software, and then if a company pays us, they can understand a little bit more about who's in market, who's not, and then kind of create their go-to-market motion around
Hmm.
that. Um, so yeah, that's the free versus paid, and it's really easy to just get up and running, which is what we hope. I think the biggest challenge is products change so fast
Yeah.
nowadays, and so
Yeah.
every 90 days we have a little cadence that goes out and asks all of our companies if they need to update their demo. So we try to keep it pretty fresh.
Well, I mean, in the world of AI, I mean, just Martech alone, just thinking about the Martech space and just how close the different companies are, even feature rich, how difficult it is to differentiate between, this company A versus company B. Are there side by side comparisons? I mean, I'm assuming like if it's set up as kind of like a video library or whatever, you can search by keywords, or you can search by industry or category, or can you serve by? Can you also search by this is the problem I'm having type thing that would answer that question?
Yeah, so yep, you can search by keyword, things like that. There's no side-by-side comparison on the page when you're watching a demo, but there is a side-by-side or there's a related demos on the page.
Yeah,
So
that'd
you
be
watch a
great.
demo, you scroll down, and it's like almost their direct competitor. I mean,
Sure.
at first I was like, oh, I bet companies are going to hate this, but at the end of the day, we're democratizing, access to demos. Like if you're in
Hmm.
market for a contact database, you should be able to see all contact databases very easily. Searching by problem, searching by challenge, October 21st. Don't know when this is coming out, but October 21st, that will be an absolute possibility. You search by
Hmm.
challenge, you search by recommendations, and we'll be able to recommend technology based on your challenge. But we're setting it up in a very different kind of way where instead of saying, hey, here's the 12 technologies that solve for that, we want to dive deeper, right? So you say a
Hmm.
challenge, and we'll ask like, well, what about that challenge is most frustrating, or what's the biggest part of that challenge that's costing you the most? We're making it more conversational, so then we can really pinpoint, hey, these are the 3 to 5 technologies that fit for you, and also they serve your ICP, because that's another thing is you don't want to recommend technologies that serve enterprise and you're a small business company,
Right.
or I
Exactly.
know, or a marketing agency of like 5 people. You're not going
Hmm.
to probably go get Zoom Info. You might go Apollo, something like
Hmm.
that. So, yep, very
I
soon.
love that. And not just the idea. I mean, it is almost like a second level, third level that says, my problem. What's your problem? Lead generation. Well, I need a little more information than that. I mean, do
Yeah,
you
well, what
need
about lead
you need
generation?
five?
Yeah,
Do you need
yeah.
1,000? What specific area are you having a problem with? Are they coming and not closing the deal? That type of thing. So, what are you learning from those that have been on the platform? I mean, it's a relatively short period of time, but what's been the feedback, and like, what's that kind of feedback cycle that you have going with the people that are there, and what are they saying?
Yeah, so a few things that I'm learning. We can start with the bads. The bad that I'm learning is it takes a while to generate traffic. We luckily are in a fortunate situation um, to where my co-founder and myself, we have around 115,000 followers on LinkedIn. So luckily we can make a post and drive traffic to the site.
Hmm.
But that's only specific for marketing and sales. That's what our audience is on LinkedIn. And so for us to expand into other categories, we need to be content heavy. So the bad when I get feedback is, hey, like our video volume is low. And then I
Hmm.
look at like, okay, well, what are like you almost need to work in tandem, right? Like are you only leveraging us for like the traffic that we're driving, or are you also using it to try to like in your outbound motion? We highly recommend you have a demo link. Just put it in your outbound
Yep.
motion. We will. There's a good chance we can identify who is watching that. Um, and so for us, like I think that if somebody doesn't get a play, like click play on their demo in like a week, they think, ah, this sucks. But now we're realizing, okay, well, what if you can see companies that are watching maybe your competitors or
Hmm.
similar categories that you really care about? So if you're a cold emailing tool, you probably want to know if somebody's looking up cold calling because you could assume that they're trying
Hmm.
to improve their outbound motion. And so what we've noticed is people are relying way too much on just the traffic and they're not
Hmm.
really, which makes them think like, and this has only happened 4 times now. So there's that. The one great thing is like I was at Inbound for HubSpot's Inbound conference in
Hmm.
Boston, and I had a customer come up to me first time I ever met him, and he was like, "I owe you," and I was like, "Okay, I owe you. You're one of our early customers. Like I owe you," and he was like, "No, we're about to close the largest deal that we've ever closed, and they saw us through demo," and I was like, "That that's like." I had
Let's
chills
go.
just
Yeah,
running
grab
through
my
my body.
phone.
I
Let
was
me
like,
let me record this.
I,
That's
I know.
right.
I was like, okay, we're doing something right. And if we just continue to drive traffic like that at the end of the day, that's all that matters is us driving traffic to the site. So that's like all of my investments going towards getting as much content on our site as possible. But yeah, that's
So,
the feedback is it's good, but if you're not getting plays, because right now we can really only show you which people, not which companies,
uh-huh.
it, they just want more intent. And I totally get it. Totally understand.
I mean, I like the description, the YouTube of B2B, but I mean, it is a two-sided kind of market-place or two-sided
Exactly.
showcase, I guess. So, you're heavy on say the company side. You upload the demo, we'll try to drive traffic to that. Is there any thought about like I can subscribe to Demo as a company that's looking for a SaaS solution, that says as new demos are uploaded kind of in my space that I could be notified that say, hey, there's two new companies that have just joined that you may be interested in type thing. Or can you drive that by my previous behavior, that you can see that I came to the site and looked up these types of companies. Is it going to grow or develop in that space, or is it really focused on the company side?
Yeah, yeah. So for the first one, like, hey, is there any notification? Like, you have two new demos that you might be interested in. No, we don't do that, and that's actually a good idea. What we do, so for the first, actually, this we just took off the gate. There was a gate for demo. You needed to create a login with the business
Uh-huh.
email to even watch demos. You do it one time, and you can watch every single demo that we have. And so there was a gate. And the reason we did that, a lot of people are like, I don't want to add my business profile in there. And I totally
Mm-hmm.
get it, but we wanted to start tracking user behavior. And like you
Mm-hmm.
mentioned, if they're watching this demo, that demo, and if we have a cookie on them, we can start understanding
Yep.
like maybe what they're doing across the internet.
Valuable information.
Yep, very valuable. What we would do is almost build like a TikTok for you page, but for just like B2B information. So if
Mm-hmm.
you're a VP of marketing and you looked at, if you're a VP of marketing and you looked at, let's say, Terminus, and then you looked at demand base, like chances are you probably want to consume ABM content
Mm-hmm.
because you're looking at ABM tools. So we wanted to do that. We just removed the gate as a test for the rest of this week to see if there's any way. Like I wanted to see the conversion. Are we
Mm-hmm.
getting more conversions of people watching without a gate? And
Yep.
my hypothesis is probably. Um, but yeah, so we do want to go in a direction where it's like, hey, give us your title, give us the challenges that you care about, and then we'll keep you up to date on like, here's what solves those challenges. Now, those challenges only last until you solve them, right? And so then
Mm-hmm.
we'll need a new set of challenges. But I do like that idea. We have newly added demos, but it's not filtered to the exact persona. So
Mm-hmm.
that's a really good idea of like maybe updating people. We have a weekly newsletter which shows the new demos, and it's broken down by category. So sales gets its own newsletter, marketing gets its own newsletter, customer success gets its own newsletter. So it's all very relevant to that position, or to that category. And so that's kind of how we update people. But
Mm-hmm.
I think I like your idea better there.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, lots of features. My name's Kevin. I'm the new Chief Innovation Officer for Demo. As we've come up with new ideas here on the fly, but yeah, that's what happens when two spinning gears meet each other. That
Exactly.
there's some inertia created here.
Yeah.
It's really interesting to kind of see early days, see things that are created, and it is so hard to stay laser focused on kind of the main idea of because I mean, you could easily get distracted with shiny object syndrome. So I'm not trying to tempt you into getting off your main driver as you're trying to build this, but and I can just see so many benefits to having this like all in one place. I can go. I'm not having to go from company to company on the web and getting through their gatekeepers to get to where I want to get to. And seeing some animated marketing video that really doesn't even help me understand what the product is anyway. By
Yeah.
the time I've watched that, so I can
Yeah.
set and see that grow.
Yeah. Yeah. And Q1 next year, like you said, the all in one place is really what we're trying to build. I think it's a big feat. I think it's going to be really hard to do, to be honest. And the marketplace is like the riskiest business that you can build
Mm.
because you're building kind of two businesses at once, driving demand for two different things at once. But yeah, coming soon is like to tackle on that all in one place. If you're watching a demo, let's say Terminus or Demand Base, since we used them earlier, if you're watching a demo, is there a way that you can ask your marketing peers about those companies that you're
Mm.
watching right then and there and get feedback? Like, hey, I used Terminus today. I haven't used Demand Base in 5 years. Should I switch over? What are the pros? What are the cons? And then you get feedback and responses from peers in that space. So that's what's to come very soon as well.
I mean, the big technological elephant in the room that in every conversation I have on this podcast, somehow we end up at the AI space. What is the what or is there an AI integration into what you're trying to build? Is there some way that it's curating, I mean, there's a lot of information out there. There's Google ratings, there is, just feedback, there is chatter, there's articles around these companies too. Is there a possibility that you could build a really broad, not just the video demonstration itself, but just more information around each of these companies that might be helpful to kind of tertiary information or something like that. Or
Yeah,
I don't want to lead the witness here. So what is
yeah.
there an AI integration here?
Yeah, so there's going to be many different ways that we use AI. I think the biggest, most impactful one will be with our data, like training our LLM just to
Mm,
understand, like from a whole level, once we continue to grow traffic on our site. I think from a whole, like high level, 10,000 foot overview, if we can see like everything that people are searching in marketing, sales, like
mhm,
and understand like the trends of where marketing, sales, customer success, every category is going because we know what they're saying and we know what's coming out on October 21st is our AI integration, where you can actually go to Dimmo AI. It's just a tab. It looks just like ChatGPT. And that's where you say things like, hey, I'm using Zoom Info today, but I'm having issues. What should I be looking at? And
mm,
then it'll respond back to you with not only data that it pulls from Zoom Info, but our proprietary database as well. So every
mhm.
video that we
Yep.
have is transcribed into our database. So then we can actually see and read, did they mention that they saw for this in their demo? But yeah, it'll instead of
Mm,
saying, here's the alternatives to Zoom Info. It's more so, what don't you like about Zoom Info? Is it the contact quality? Is it the customer support? Is it the pricing? Give us more info. So that's one area we're going. But I think the biggest thing, very big picture, is how do we train an LLM and AI, all very similar things? How do we train them in a way where we can provide deep research and analytics on software for a
mhm,
company, right? They go out and they pay 120K to Gartner today. Is there a way for technology to provide almost the same breadth of information about a specific technology or industry, but all ran through AI, right? Not
mhm.
humans, right? And so
Yeah.
that's yeah, that's there's a lot of different ways we can spin AI, but the biggest one at first is going to be being able to use search on your challenges, the features that you want, things like
Mhm.
that. And then from there, we'll get into the bigger AI things. There's a few other things I got to keep in my back pocket, but yeah.
I get it. I get it. And I think as you mentioned, I mean, as your community grows, as the information and data grow, I mean that's even going to be more, granular and more accurate, responses that you would receive through that. So we have a lot of agency owners, a lot of marketing agency owners that listen to this podcast and are kind of in that space. And I'm just really curious, like if I'm an agency owner, kind of put your agency owner hat on, what is the benefit, how would you
Yep.
direct, them to use this tool wisely?
Yeah, it's really funny that we're talking about agencies because I actually just jumped off my first call yesterday with an agency owner who is running ads and SEO for about 15 different companies right now.
Mm,
And he was like, I wonder if I can use Demo, get all these companies on Demo and help them drive leads through Demo. So actually, that then sparked this whole conversation of, is there a way for me to actually go reach out to agencies of B2B companies, software companies? Because again, we're only in the software space. It's just software. Maybe over time we'll change that. Um, so now there is actually, I think, a play in which one, our paying customers get to know who's watching their demo. So it's like you get a lead every time somebody clicks play. But two, I do think that there's a play for agency owners where it's like we're going to add a new channel of leads for you because that's exactly what we look at ourselves as,
hmm.
especially for the company, is we're just a new channel.
Yep.
Everybody's trying to explore channels and optimize channels and things like that. We're another channel. So if any agency owner has companies that they just want a set of eyeballs because it's completely free to have your demo,
Hmm.
right? So if they just want to get more exposure, we've had many companies come up to me and say, "Hey, they came inbound through demo and it's been a free customer." So that's amazing. And so that's how I see, honestly, an agency partnership working is, hey, let's just put them on demo. It's free. Maybe we'll get free inbound leads with the traffic that they're generating today. And this traffic's only going up. It continues to
Yep.
go up and to the right on the chart. So it's a great time to get involved early. But yeah, that's where I think agencies can shine is, hey, I think I found a new channel for you. Let's try it out.
And I mean, obviously it's your company. You have a really good understanding of what, the leads that you're driving. But I have to imagine that it's the quality of leads that companies would get through this because they're so qualified by the time they would get there. They're not just random traffic, just well, I thought I wanted this software, so I clicked on this link, just hoping. I mean, they really are an informed, potential buyer,
Yep.
by the time they get through the process and have a good understanding of what the product does and it fits their needs. So they're interested by the time they
Yeah.
could get through the process.
They're literally there to watch a demo. Like I don't know many people that would want to waste a ton of time just watching demos that are absolutely irrelevant to them.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
so yeah, we do. I get a lot of insight of people that are on our site, and there are some people where I'm like, why is this relevant to you? Are you maybe looking for a job there?
Mm. Hmm.
But outside of that, yeah, I would say the quality of leads that we typically pass our paying customers is usually much higher than your typical like whatever. They just came to your website. Somehow they ended up on your website and now they're there.
Real value in that for sure. As if we're kind of wrapping up here, this first segment is right before we get to the rapid fire questions here. But is there anything that I mean, you talked about the kind of lessons learned looking backwards. Let's prognosticate into the future in the next, 12 to 18 months, 24 months. What is it going to look like, a couple of years from now in your mind?
Yeah. I want in a couple of years from now, the way I want it to work, and I know that I'll talk about the first part first. The way I want it to work is kind of twofold. One, how can you essentially have a discovery conversation, a sales conversation, like, hey, how do you integrate with this? How are you different from that? How do you solve this challenge? What about this challenge? Like, how do we fit into your tech stack? All of those questions that you typically would ask on a discovery call. In the next 2 years, I for sure want those to be able to be answered while you are watching the demo.
Hmm.
And then the second thing that I want is to start introducing transactions. Enterprise businesses, IBM, things like that, you won't transact through demo probably ever, or
Hmm.
at least not in my lifetime. But startups where they're paying 160K for a total compensation package for a sales rep, is there an actual possibility to instead of have as many sales reps, is there a possibility for smaller ACV companies, call it 3,000, 5,000, maybe even 10, 20,000, but is there a way to transact everything? You evaluate, you explore,
Yep.
find it, you evaluate it, and then you purchase it through demo, and then we take a little cut, right? Like a small transaction fee.
Hmm.
I would love to see that in the next 2 years. At least have like our first set of customers say, yeah, we were going to trust you with the transaction part of this, and we'll see if we can do that.
I mean, I'd see that in the AI space as well. You could have your, sales AI sales reps that are answering questions, in real time as people are looking at demos and kind of leading to that transaction. So you don't have to have somebody just sitting by a phone somewhere, or sitting at
Yep.
their computer type thing. But and it is exciting times and anxious to see the growth of, what demos going to. I mean, just amazing growth so far in a very short period of time, like we discussed earlier. But I want to shift right now to our rapid fire time of the interviews, and these are kind of disparate questions, and I'm just going to fire match. I just want your first response, really short, concise answers, and don't even think about these. Just answer from the hip here, so to speak. But there's a method to our madness as we're asking these questions. So, did you get along with your parents growing up?
Yes.
Do you have siblings?
Yes.
I know you have a pet because I've seen him in the background. Any other pets other than this dog that's lonesome?
Yeah, I got two dogs. We got two dogs.
Uh, Children.
One child, another on the way.
Well, congratulations. On a work day, what time do you wake up in the morning typically?
4 a.m.
Wow, early riser. What time do you go to bed?
Try to be asleep by 9:30.
Ideal vacation spot anywhere in the world, money not an object.
Um, Love Mexico, but I'll go Greece.
The islands, the
The
white
islands.
buildings, yeah, gotta be, gotta be. How does faith affect how you do business?
Um, how does it affect that? In every aspect, right? I feel like every decision is kind of based on like what will this lead me to at the end, kind of thing.
If you were king for a day in the marketing climate, what is one thing you would change about marketing globally?
That ABM is not a technology, so I'd change the way that that's done.
So Technify ABM.
Yep, kind of that, but also strategize it. I think people buy ABM tools and they're like, great, my ABM strategy is solved, and that's not the way it works.
That's certainly not the way it works. We've covered so much in this, 30-minute chat or so we've had here. Is there anything that I have not asked you about that you'd like to just to wrap us up with today, and then maybe just tell people where they can find out more?
Yeah. Well, I'll ask you a question right before we dive into that. What do you want to be remembered for?
What do I want to be remembered for?
Yeah, we're turning this podcast
All right,
around on you.
Flip the script here. At the end of the day, I want to be remembered for giving people an opportunity to showcase their stories well. And I want them to think after they get off the recording that, I forgot we were recording and it was just two people having a chat over a cup of coffee. I want that kind of level of communication that we've had here, and really just to kind of showcase just the growth and the great things happening in the marketing space. That's what I want to hear.
Love it. Love it.
So where can people find more about Dimmo?
Yeah, Dimmo.ai, Dimmo.ai, and then you could anybody can message me on LinkedIn. It's just Troy Munson. Hopefully I'm there. If not, dig a little deeper, I guess.
He is responsive because I reached out to him and he got right back with me. So Troy, thanks again, man, for just taking time today and just sharing your story and the story of Dimmo and other things that have kind of led to this, and really just helping us out just to really add value to this marketing space to help marketing agencies grow and scale their business. Troy, thanks again, man. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you as well.
Thank you for tuning in to another great episode of the Marketing Umbrella Podcast, where we provide the information you need from successful leading marketers to build and grow your digital marketing agency. To learn more, go to umbrellaus.com.